She walked into that church with nothing but cleaning supplies and a paycheck to worry about, but she'd walk out with a Mafia boss's heart and a target on her back. Malia never imagined that one act of kindness, sitting beside a devastated stranger left humiliated at the altar, would shatter every wall in her carefully controlled life. Adrian Marcello was supposed to marry for power, for alliance, for strategy, but his bride never showed, and the woman who stayed when everyone else fled wasn't supposed to be a broke single guardian just trying to survive. What started as a moment of compassion became a dangerous obsession, and when his enemies realized he cared about her, they came for blood. Now she has to choose, run back to safety and lose the man who makes her feel alive, or stand beside him in a world where love is the deadliest weapon of all. Subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this story proves that sometimes the person who saves you is the one you never saw coming. The morning light came through the tall stained glass windows in colored streams. Malia pushed open the heavy wooden door of St. Catherine's Church and stepped inside, her cleaning cart squeaking behind her. The air smelled like polish and old prayer books. She was early. The wedding didn't start for 3 more hours. That's how she liked it. Get in, get the work done, get out before the fancy people arrived. Malia pulled her phone from her pocket and checked the screen. One text from Noah. "Can I have cereal for breakfast?" She smiled and typed back quickly. "Yes, but add a banana. Love you." 3 dots appeared. Then, okay, her little brother, 13 years old and already taller than her. Their parents died 2 years ago in a car accident. Since then, it was just the 2 of them. Malia was 24. She worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat. Cleaning churches paid the best, especially for wealthy weddings like this one. She tucked her phone away and looked around the church. Someone had already brought in the flowers, white roses everywhere. They lined the aisle in tall stands. They covered the altar in waves of petals. This wedding cost more money than she'd make in 5 years. Malia grabbed her supplies and got to work. She wiped down the pews. She swept the floors. She made sure every surface gleamed. Other workers moved around her, florists adjusting arrangements, a sound guy testing microphones. Everyone looked tense. "Have you heard?" a woman whispered near the altar. "Heard what?" "The groom. He's Adrian Marcello." The other woman sucked in a breath. "No way." "Yes way. My cousin knows someone who works for his family." Malia kept her head down and kept working. She didn't care about gossip. She cared about the check she'd get at the end of the day. But the name stuck in her head. Adrian Marcello. She'd heard that name before, everyone had. Whispers in certain neighborhoods. Stories that people didn't finish when kids were around. 2 men in dark suits hurried past her. They moved like water, smooth and fast. One of them had his phone pressed to his ear. "She's still not answering," he said, his voice tight. The other man cursed under his breath. Malia glanced toward the front of the church. A man sat alone at the altar. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her rent. His shoulders were straight, his head was up, but he sat completely still. Something about that stillness made her chest feel tight. She turned back to her work. Not her business, not her world. The ceremony was supposed to start at noon. At noon, the church was full of people in expensive clothes, women in silk dresses, men in tailored suits, everyone whispering behind their hands. Malia finished cleaning the side chapel and moved toward the back of the church. She should leave. Her work was done, but something made her stay. Maybe it was the way everyone kept checking their watches, or the way the whispers grew louder with each passing minute. The man at the altar hadn't moved. 12:15, 12:30. A woman in a purple dress stood up and walked out. Then another person, then 5 more. The whispers turned into murmurs. The murmurs turned into normal voices. "This is embarrassing. Where is she? I told you this family was trouble." Malia watched from the shadows near the side door. The groom still sat facing forward. His best men stood near him, talking in low voices. One of them put a hand on his shoulder. Adrian, if that was really him, didn't respond. More people left. The church emptied like water draining from a sink. By 1 o'clock, only a handful of people remained. By 1:30, even they were gone. The church fell into a silence so heavy it pressed against Malia's ears. She should leave. She should absolutely leave. But Adrian Marcello sat alone at the altar where he'd been left, and something about that image cracked open a place in her chest she usually kept locked. She knew what it felt like to be abandoned. Malia took a step forward, then another. Adrian didn't turn, didn't move. As she got closer, she saw his hands gripping the edge of the altar bench. His knuckles were white. His jaw was so tight she could see the muscle jumping. Then she saw it, a single tear rolling down his cheek. Her heart twisted. "Sir?" Her voice came out softer than she meant it to. He didn't answer, didn't even blink. Malia moved closer. She reached out slowly, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. Her hand touched his shoulder. Adrian's head jerked up. His eyes were red, lost. He looked at her like he didn't understand what he was seeing. "I'm sorry," Malia whispered. "I'm so sorry." His throat moved. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. Malia didn't know what else to do, so she sat down beside him on the altar bench. They sat in silence, her hand still on his shoulder, his breathing uneven. The door at the back of the church slammed open. A man strode down the aisle toward them. He was tall, built like a fighter, with dark eyes that locked onto Malia like laser sights. "Get away from him." The man's voice was pure ice. Adrian spoke for the first time. "Leave her." The words came out broken, raw. The other man stopped. His jaw worked. "Adrian, leave her, Rafe." Rafe stared at them. Then his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, looked at the screen, and his expression went dark. "We have a problem." He stepped back toward the door. "I need to make a call." He left them alone again. Malia started to stand. "I should go. I didn't mean to." "Please." Adrian's voice cracked. "Don't." She froze. "Just stay for a minute." Malia slowly sat back down. Adrian closed his eyes. "I lost someone once. A long time ago. I thought—" He stopped, swallowed hard. "I thought I wouldn't feel this again." "Feel what?" Malia asked gently. "Abandoned." The word hung in the air between them. Malia didn't know this man, didn't know his world, but she knew pain when she saw it. And right now Adrian Marcello looked like someone drowning. She didn't speak. She just stayed there beside him, her presence the only anchor she could offer. Rafe came back inside. His face was tight with worry. "Adrian, we need to move. Now." "What's wrong?" 3 black SUVs just parked around the block. Unknown plates, and someone's been watching the church. Adrian's entire body changed. The grief disappeared behind something harder, colder. He stood up, looked at Malia. "You should go home, quickly." "What's happening?" "Nothing you need to worry about." But his eyes said different. A loud crack echoed from outside. Not thunder, gunfire. Adrian moved before Malia could think. His hand locked around her wrist, and he pulled her down between the pews. Her knees hit the floor hard. "Stay down," he ordered. More shots. Closer now. The stained glass windows rattled. Malia's heart hammered against her ribs. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. Rafe and 2 other men pulled guns from inside their jackets. They moved toward the doors with the kind of coordination that came from practice. Adrian crouched over her, his body a shield, his hand pressed against her back, keeping her low. "Don't move," he said. "Don't make a sound." Malia couldn't have moved if she wanted to. Fear locked her muscles tight. Shouting outside, more gunfire. Then, silence. After what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes, Rafe came back. "Clear. False alarm, kids with fireworks. But we've got eyes on 2 cars that don't belong. We need to get you out of here." Adrian helped Malia up. His hands were steady, but his eyes burned with something intense. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't have grabbed you like that." Malia's legs shook. What is this?" "Nothing you need to be part of." He looked at Rafe. "Get her home. Make sure she's safe." "I can get myself home," Malia said. Her voice came out stronger than she felt. "I don't need— Please." Adrian's eyes locked onto hers. "Someone was watching this church today, waiting for something. Until I know who and why, I need you somewhere safe. Why would anyone care about me? I'm nobody. You were sitting with me. That might be enough." The words sent ice through her veins. Rafe stepped forward. "Miss, I have a car outside. I can have you home in 10 minutes. Malia looked between them. These men lived in a different world, a dangerous world. She wanted nothing to do with it. But when she thought about walking out of this church alone, knowing someone might be watching— "Fine," she said quietly, "but just to my door. That's it." Adrian's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Thank you." Rafe led her toward a side exit. She glanced back once and saw Adrian standing in the empty church, surrounded by white roses that were meant for a wedding that never happened. Something in her chest ached. Then the door closed and he was gone. The car was black and sleek. Rafe opened the back door for her, but she shook her head. "I'll sit in front." He paused, then nodded. "As you wish." Malia climbed into the passenger seat. The interior smelled like leather and something expensive. Everything looked new. Rafe started the engine. "Where to?" She gave him her address. He plugged it into the GPS without comment, though she saw his eyes flicker when the location popped up. Her neighborhood wasn't exactly on the safe list. They drove in silence for a few minutes. Malia stared out the window, trying to process what had just happened. "For what it's worth," Rafe said quietly, "that was kind of you. What you did back there, I didn't do anything. You stayed with him. Most people would have run the moment the church emptied." Malia shrugged. He looked like he needed someone. Rafe's mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Adrian doesn't let people see him like that. The fact that he let you stay," he shook his head, "that means something. What was supposed to happen today?" The question slipped out before she could stop it. "A wedding, obviously, but why didn't she show up?" Rafe's hands tightened on the wheel. "That's complicated. Did she get cold feet?" "More like strategic feet." Malia frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means the families involved have complicated relationships, and maybe someone decided the marriage wasn't in their best interest anymore." The way he said it made Malia's stomach drop. "This wasn't just about love, was it?" Rafe glanced at her. "Very little in our world is just about love." They pulled onto her street. Malia pointed to her apartment building, a 3-story walk-up that had seen better decades. "That one, with the blue door." Rafe parked but didn't turn off the engine. He scanned the street with eyes that missed nothing. "You live alone?" "With my younger brother." His expression shifted. "How old?" 13. Rafe pulled out his phone and sent a quick text. Then he looked at her again. "Miss, I'm going to tell you something and I need you to take it seriously. Okay? Someone followed you here earlier, before the wedding. One of our guys spotted them and ran them off, but we don't know who they were or what they wanted." Malia's blood went cold. "What? You're probably safe. This was likely just reconnaissance. Someone checking who was at the church today. But until we know for sure..." He reached into the console and pulled out a business card. "This is my direct number. If you see anything strange, anyone watching your building, cars that don't belong, you call me immediately." Malia took the card with numb fingers. "This is insane." "I know, and I'm sorry you got pulled into it." Rafe's eyes were serious. "But Adrian was right. You were seen with him. In his world, that matters." The driver's side window suddenly went dark. Someone stood outside the car. Rafe's hand went to his jacket, but Adrian's voice came through. "It's me." Rafe unlocked the doors. Adrian slid into the back seat. "My driver was delayed," he explained. "I'll take her from here." Rafe looked like he wanted to argue. Then he sighed and got out of the car. "I'll follow behind." 2 blocks back, Adrian moved into the driver's seat. Malia stared at him. "You don't have to do this," she said. "I know." He pulled away from the curb smoothly. "But I want to make sure you get inside safely." They drove the last 2 blocks in heavy silence. Malia's mind spun. This morning, she'd been worried about grocery money and Noah's algebra homework. Now she was in a car with a Mafia boss who'd just been left at the altar. Her life felt like it had tilted sideways. Adrian parked in front of her building. He studied the street the same way Rafe had, carefully, missing nothing. Then he looked up at her apartment. His expression changed. Malia followed his gaze. Noah stood at their window on the 2nd floor, his face pressed against the glass. Even from here, she could see the worry in his eyes. "Your brother?" Adrian asked. "Yes." Something flickered across Adrian's face. His jaw worked. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. "You should go to him. He looks scared." Malia reached for the door handle. "Thank you. For the ride." "Wait." Adrian pulled out his own card. "Rafe gave you his number. Keep mine too." She took it. Their fingers brushed. I hope things get better," she said quietly, "with whatever happened today." Adrian's smile was sad. "Some things don't get better. We just learn to carry them." Malia climbed out of the car. She hurried toward her building, suddenly desperate to hold Noah and know he was safe. At the door, she turned back. Adrian hadn't moved. He sat in the driver's seat, his eyes on her building, on the window where Noah had been standing. His expression was unreadable, but something in it made her chest tight. She went inside and ran up the stairs. Noah met her at the apartment door and threw his arms around her waist. "You're late," he said into her shoulder. "I was worried." "I know. I'm sorry." She hugged him tight. "Everything's okay." But even as she said it, she wasn't sure it was true. That night Malia couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. The empty church, Adrian's tears, the gunfire, the way he'd shielded her body with his own without hesitation. Around midnight she got up and checked on Noah. He was asleep, his phone charging on the nightstand, his algebra book still open on the floor. She smiled and closed the book, pulled his blanket up to his chin. Then she went to the window. The street below was quiet. A few parked cars. Streetlights casting yellow pools on the concrete. But there, near the corner, sat a dark sedan she didn't recognize. Malia's heart kicked up. She watched it for 5 minutes. It didn't move. No one got in or out. Maybe she was being paranoid. She went back to bed and tried to sleep. But every creak of the building made her jump. Every car passing on the street made her sit up. At 2 in the morning, she heard footsteps in the hallway outside her apartment. Then a knock. Malia grabbed her phone and crept to the door. "Who is it?" "Ma'am, my name is Marco. Mr. Marcello asked me to keep watch outside your apartment tonight." Her hands shook. "I don't need—" "Please, ma'am, there's a car parked on the corner that shouldn't be there. I'm just here to make sure you and your brother stay safe." Malia pressed her forehead against the door. Adrian's world was at her doorstep, and she didn't know if she was terrified or something else. Morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. Malia made Noah breakfast, while exhaustion pulled at her bones. She'd slept maybe 2 hours. "You okay?" Noah asked around a mouthful of cereal. "Fine, just tired." He studied her with those old eyes. Noah had always been too observant. "Something happened yesterday. Nothing for you to worry about." "Malia," she sighed. "The wedding didn't happen. The bride didn't show up. It was sad, that's all." "Is that why there's a man sitting in a car outside?" Her head snapped up. "What?" "I saw him when I looked out the window. He's been there since I woke up." Malia went to the window and looked down. The dark sedan was still there, same spot. A man sat in the driver's seat, alert and watchful. Marco, Adrian's guard. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered it. "Hello? Miss Malia? It's Rafe. I'm calling to check in. Your guy is still outside my apartment. I know Adrian wanted to make sure you were protected. For how long? Until we're certain there's no threat." Malia rubbed her eyes. "This is crazy." "I know, but it's necessary." Rafe paused. "Actually, Adrian would like to speak with you. Can you meet him this morning?" "I have work. He'll compensate you for your time." Something in her bristled. "I don't need his money." "That's not what I—" Rafe sighed. "Please. He needs to explain the situation properly, and he wants to make sure you understand how to stay safe." Malia looked at Noah, who was watching her with worried eyes. "Fine," she said. "Where?" The coffee shop Rafe directed her to was in a nicer part of town. Clean sidewalks, people in business clothes. Malia felt out of place in her jeans and old jacket. Adrian sat at a corner table, his back to the wall. He looked exhausted. His tie was loose and his eyes were shadowed. He stood when she approached. "Thank you for coming." She sat down across from him. "Your guard is scaring my little brother." "I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention." "Then what was your intention?" Adrian leaned back, his eyes were serious. "Yesterday someone targeted me. The wedding was meant to unite 2 families with complicated histories. When the bride didn't show, it sent a message, a declaration." "Of what?" "That the alliance is broken, which means old tensions are now active again." He paused. "Anyone seen supporting me becomes a target." Malia's stomach dropped. "I was just sitting with you." "I know. And to certain people that matters." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I can't undo what happened, but I can protect you until this settles." "For how long?" "I don't know." She wanted to scream, wanted to throw something. This wasn't fair. She'd just been trying to be kind. "What am I supposed to do?" she asked quietly. "I have a brother. I have jobs. I can't just hide." "I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to let my men keep watch. To be careful. To call me if anything feels wrong." Malia met his eyes. They were dark brown, almost black, tired but intense. "Why do you care?" The question came out harder than she meant. "You don't know me." Adrian was quiet for a long moment. "Yesterday was the worst day of my life in a very long time, and you sat with me when everyone else left. That—" he looked down at his hands. "That meant something." His honesty took her breath away. "I lost someone once," he continued softly. "Someone very important. I know what it feels like to be alone in your grief." He looked up. "You didn't let me be alone. The least I can do is make sure you're safe." Malia's throat felt tight. "Okay," she whispered. Adrian's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Okay? I'll let your guard stay for now until things settle." She held up a finger. "But I don't want your money, and I don't want to be pulled deeper into whatever world you live in. Is that clear?" Crystal clear. They sat in silence for a moment. A waitress brought coffee neither of them had ordered. Adrian must have called ahead. "Can I ask you something?" Malia said. "Of course. The woman who was supposed to marry you, did you love her?" Adrian's smile was bitter. "No, it was arranged, strategic." He took a sip of coffee. But I respected her, and I thought we could build something together, a partnership if not passion. I'm sorry she hurt you. She didn't just hurt me. She humiliated me, in front of everyone who matters in my world. His voice went flat. That has consequences. The way he said it sent a chill down Malia's spine. She'd almost forgotten. Adrian Marcello wasn't just a man who'd been left at the altar. He was dangerous, and now his world was wrapped around her whether she liked it or not. Malia walked home from the coffee shop with her mind spinning. The morning sun felt too bright. The street felt too loud. Everything felt different now. When she turned onto her block, she spotted Marco still in his car. He gave her a small nod. She didn't nod back. Inside the apartment, Noah sat at their small kitchen table doing homework. He looked up when she entered. "Did you meet him?" he asked. "Meet who?" "The man from yesterday. The one who drove you home." Malia froze. "How did you know about that?" "I saw you get out of his car." Noah's voice was matter-of-fact. "He sat there for a long time after you came inside, just looking at our building." She hung up her jacket. "He was making sure I got home safe." "Why?" "Because something bad almost happened yesterday, and he wants to help." Noah frowned. "Is he dangerous?" The question hit harder than it should have. "I don't know," Malia said honestly. "Maybe, but not to us." "How do you know?" She didn't. Not really, but something in her gut told her Adrian Marcello wouldn't hurt them. That whatever darkness lived in his world, he kept it away from innocent people. "I just do," she said. Noah didn't look convinced, but he went back to his homework without arguing. Malia made lunch and tried to pretend everything was normal, but every time she looked out the window she saw Marco's car. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart jumped. This was her life now, at least for a while. That evening, Noah asked if he could take out the trash. It was his chore, something he did every Tuesday without complaint. "Sure," Malia said, "but come right back up." "I always do." She watched from the window as he carried the bag down the stairs and around to the side alley where the dumpsters sat. Marco got out of his car. Malia's heart kicked up. She ran for the door. By the time she got downstairs, Marco was crouched down near Noah, speaking quietly. Noah stood frozen, clutching the empty trash bag. "Hey!" Malia called out. "What are you doing?" Marco straightened. "Just introducing myself, ma'am. I didn't mean to frighten him." Noah looked at her with wide eyes. "He knows my name." Ice shot through her veins. "How do you know his name?" "Mr. Marcello wanted us to know who we're protecting. You had no right—" A black car pulled up to the curb. Not Marco's sedan. This one was sleeker, more expensive. Adrian stepped out. He took one look at the scene. Malia angry, Noah scared, Marco looking apologetic, and his expression darkened. "Marco, wait in your car." "Sir, I was just—" "Now." Marco left without another word. Adrian approached them slowly, his hands visible, his posture unthreatening. When he was a few feet away, he stopped. His eyes went to Noah. "You must be Noah," he said quietly. Noah didn't answer. He moved closer to Malia and grabbed her hand. Adrian's expression softened in a way that surprised her. He crouched down slightly, making himself smaller, less intimidating. "I'm Adrian," he said. "I'm a friend of your sister's. I'm here to make sure both of you stay safe." Noah's grip on her hand tightened. "Why wouldn't we be safe?" "Because I made some people angry. And sometimes when people are angry at me, they try to hurt people I care about." Adrian's voice was gentle, patient. "I don't want that to happen to you or Malia, so I asked some friends to keep watch. That's all Marco is doing. Watching, making sure no one bothers you." "Are you a bad person?" Noah asked. The question hung in the air. Adrian didn't flinch. "I've done bad things," he said honestly, "but I try to do good things too. And protecting people who don't deserve to be hurt, that's a good thing." Noah studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he asked, "Did someone leave you at a wedding?" Malia's breath caught. Adrian's smile was sad. "Yes. How did you know?" "Malia told me." Noah tilted his head. "Were you sad?" "Very sad. Our parents died 2 years ago. We were very sad too." Something cracked in Adrian's expression. His eyes went bright for just a second before he controlled it. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice rough. "That must have been so hard." Noah shrugged. "Malia takes care of me now. She's good at it." "I can tell." They stood there in the fading light, this strange triangle of connection forming. Malia felt her defenses weakening, and she hated it. She couldn't afford to let this man into their lives. But Noah was still holding her hand and looking at Adrian with something that wasn't fear anymore, something that looked almost like trust. "Noah, go back upstairs," Malia said softly. "I need to talk to Adrian alone." "Okay." Noah started toward the building, then turned back. "Are you coming to dinner?" He was talking to Adrian. Adrian looked surprised. "Oh, we're having spaghetti," Noah continued. "Malia makes it really good." "Noah," Malia started. "I'd like that very much," Adrian said quietly, "if your sister doesn't mind." Noah looked at her hopefully. Malia wanted to say no, wanted to draw a line and keep this man on the other side of it. But Noah's eyes were bright, hopeful. He'd been so serious for so long, carrying too much grief for a 13-year-old. If Adrian made him smile, even for one evening. "Fine," she said. "But just dinner. Then you leave." Adrian nodded. Just dinner. The apartment felt smaller with Adrian in it. He sat at their small kitchen table while Malia cooked, and Noah did homework nearby. He didn't touch anything, didn't ask questions, just existed quietly in their space. "Can I help?" he asked. "No," Malia said. She stirred the sauce harder than necessary. "Are you sure?" "I'm actually decent in a kitchen." "I'm sure." Silence fell again, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was something else. Something Malia didn't want to examine too closely. Noah looked up from his math worksheet. "Do you know algebra?" Adrian glanced at the paper. "A little. What are you stuck on?" "This one." Noah pointed. Adrian moved his chair closer and studied the problem. "Okay, so you're trying to find x, right? The trick is to get x by itself on one side." Malia watched them from the corner of her eye while she boiled pasta. Adrian explained the problem patiently, never making Noah feel stupid. When Noah got the answer, Adrian smiled like it was the best thing that had happened all day. Her chest ached. "Dinner's ready," she said. They ate at the small table, the three of them crowded together. The spaghetti was simple, just sauce from a jar and ground beef, but Noah ate 2 helpings. Adrian ate slowly, like he was savoring every bite. "This is really good," he said. "It's nothing fancy. Sometimes the simple things are the best." He twirled more pasta on his fork. "My mother used to make spaghetti like this before—" He didn't finish the sentence. "Before what?" Noah asked. Adrian set down his fork. "Before she passed away. A long time ago." "How old were you?" 12. Noah's eyes went wide. "I'm 13. That's only 1 year older." "Yeah." Adrian's voice was soft. "It was hard. Did someone take care of you after?" "My father did, for a while. Then my uncle." "Was your uncle nice?" Adrian's smile was complicated. "He taught me how to survive, how to be strong, how to protect the people I love." He paused. "But no, he wasn't particularly nice." Malia felt something twist in her chest. She'd been so focused on the danger Adrian represented that she'd forgotten he was a person. Someone who'd lost people, someone who'd been hurt, someone who was sitting at her table looking at Noah with an expression that made her throat tight. After dinner, Noah asked if Adrian wanted to see his room. "If it's okay with your sister," Adrian said, looking at her. Malia nodded. She couldn't seem to find her voice. She cleaned up the kitchen while their voices drifted from Noah's room. Noah showing Adrian his books, his drawings, his collection of bottle caps that he'd been gathering since he was 8. Adrian asked questions, real questions. He listened to the answers like they mattered. When they came back out, Noah was smiling. Malia couldn't remember the last time she'd seen him smile like that. "I should go," Adrian said. "Thank you for dinner, and for letting me stay." "You're welcome," Noah said quickly. "You can come back." Adrian looked at Malia. "Only if your sister wants me to." She should say no, should shut this down before it went any further. But Noah was still smiling. "We'll see," she said. Adrian nodded. He walked to the door, then turned back. His eyes found hers across the small apartment. "Someone wanted me vulnerable yesterday," he said quietly so Noah couldn't hear. "The wedding was supposed to weaken me, divide my support, make me an easier target." His jaw tightened. "Stay alert, please. I know you don't want to be part of this, but you are now, and I need you to be careful." Fear crawled up her spine. "What should I look for? Anything unusual? Cars you don't recognize? People watching? Anyone asking questions about you or Noah?" He pulled out his phone. "I'm giving you my private number, not the business line. If anything feels wrong, anything at all, you call me immediately." He sent her a text so she'd have his number. "Okay," she whispered. Adrian reached out like he wanted to touch her hand, then seemed to think better of it. "Good night, Malia." "Good night." She closed the door behind him and leaned against it. This was dangerous, not just because of the threats from his world, but because of the way her heart had softened watching him with Noah, the way she'd wanted him to stay longer, the way she was starting to see him not as a dangerous stranger, but as something else entirely. That night, Malia couldn't sleep again. She checked on Noah twice. Both times he was fast asleep, his math homework finished, his room neat. Around 2 in the morning she went to the window. Marco's car was still there, but now there was a second car. Different make, different spot. Her heart started pounding. She grabbed her phone and called Adrian's private number. He answered on the first ring. "Malia, what's wrong?" "There's a second car outside my building. It wasn't there before." "Where's Marco?" "Still in his usual spot. But this other car—" "I see it." His voice went hard. "I've got someone checking the plates now. Stay away from the windows." "Adrian, I'm 10 minutes away. Don't open your door for anyone except me." He hung up. Malia went to Noah's room and shook him awake gently. "What's wrong?" he mumbled. "Nothing. But I need you to come sleep in my room tonight, okay?" He was too sleepy to argue. He stumbled into her room and curled up in her bed. Malia grabbed the baseball bat they kept in the closet and sat by the door. 8 minutes later, her phone buzzed. "I'm outside. Third knock will be mine." 3 knocks came seconds later. Malia looked through the peephole. Adrian stood in the hallway, his expression dark. She opened the door. He stepped inside and locked it behind him. "The second car is gone. It left 30 seconds after you called me. My guys followed it but lost them in traffic." "Who was it?" "We're working on it." His eyes swept the apartment. "Where's Noah?" "Sleeping in my room." Adrian nodded. He moved to the window and looked out, staying to the side so he couldn't be seen from the street. After a long moment, he turned back to her. "You can't stay here." "What?" "It's not safe. Someone knows where you live. They were watching." His voice was firm but not angry. "I have a place, a safe apartment. It's secure, protected. You and Noah can stay there until we figure out who's targeting you." Malia's hands shook. "I can't just leave. I have jobs. Noah has school. We'll work it out. But tonight, right now, I need you somewhere I know you're safe." "This is insane." "I know." Adrian stepped closer. "I know this isn't fair. I know you didn't ask for any of this. But please, Malia, let me protect you." She wanted to fight, wanted to cling to her independence, but fear was stronger. "Okay," she whispered, "but just for tonight. Tomorrow we figure something else out." Adrian's shoulders dropped in relief. "Okay, pack a bag. Enough for a few days. I'll wait here." 20 minutes later, they were in Adrian's car. Noah sat in the back, confused, but too tired to ask many questions. Malia sat in front, her overnight bag at her feet. Marco followed behind them. Another car led the way. They drove for 15 minutes, ending up in a neighborhood Malia recognized but had never actually visited. Nicer buildings, cleaner streets, security cameras visible on every corner. Adrian pulled into an underground parking garage and used a keycard to access a private elevator. "It's on the 3rd floor," he said. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, everything you'll need." The elevator opened into a small hallway with only 2 doors. Adrian unlocked one and held it open. The apartment was simple but comfortable. Clean furniture, big windows with thick curtains, a kitchen that was twice the size of the one in her apartment. "The bedrooms are through there," Adrian said, pointing. "Fresh sheets, towels in the bathroom, food in the fridge." Noah wandered toward the bedroom, still half asleep. Malia stood in the middle of the living room, feeling lost. "How long do we stay here?" "As long as it takes." "That's not an answer." Adrian ran a hand through his hair. "I know, I'm sorry, I don't have better answers right now." "This is your world," she said, and there was anger in her voice now. "This danger, this hiding, this is what you live with every day?" "Yes." "How do you stand it?" He looked at her with those dark, tired eyes. "You get used to it or you don't. But either way, you survive." Malia's anger drained away, replaced by something sadder. "I don't want to get used to this." "I know." Adrian moved toward the door. "I'll be downstairs. If you need anything—" "Wait." She didn't know why she said it, but the word came out anyway. "Stay. Just for a few minutes. Please." Adrian stopped. "Are you sure?" "No." She wasn't sure of anything anymore, but she nodded anyway. He sat down on the couch, careful to leave space between them. They sat in silence for a long moment. "Thank you," Malia finally said. "For this. For keeping us safe. You don't have to thank me. This is my fault. You didn't make someone leave you at the altar. You didn't make them target me. But I sat at that altar. I showed weakness." His voice was bitter. "In my world, weakness is blood in the water. It brings predators. So what? You're supposed to hide your feelings? Never let anyone see you hurt?" That's exactly what I'm supposed to do. Malia shook her head. That's a terrible way to live. It's the only way I know. She looked at him, really looked, at the exhaustion in his face, the tension in his shoulders, the way he held himself like a man ready for the next attack. What happened to your daughter? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Adrian went very still. How did you... You mentioned her earlier. You said you had a daughter Noah's age. For a long moment she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, quietly, her name was Sophia. She was 8. There was a car accident 3 years ago. Her mother and I, we weren't together anymore. But Sophia spent weekends with me. His voice cracked. That weekend I had business. I sent her with a driver instead of taking her myself. They ran a red light. She didn't survive. Tears burned Malia's eyes. Adrian, I should have been there. Should have driven her myself. He stared at his hands. I was so focused on work, on power, on building an empire, and I lost the only thing that actually mattered. Without thinking, Malia reached over and put her hand on his arm. Adrian froze. She didn't pull away. It wasn't your fault, she said quietly. Yes, it was. No, it was an accident. A terrible, tragic accident. But it wasn't your fault. Adrian's breath shuddered. He looked at where her hand rested on his arm, then up at her face. You should hate me, he said. I brought danger to your doorstep. I disrupted your life. I don't hate you. The words came out softer than she meant them to. They sat there, connected by that single touch. And Malia felt something shift in the air between them, something that scared her more than any threat from his world, because this was a different kind of danger, the kind that came from the heart. Adrian left a few minutes later, promising to check on them in the morning. Malia locked the door behind him and leaned against it. What was she doing? She barely knew this man. He lived in a world of violence and danger. He'd brought threats to her door just by existing in her life. But when he talked about his daughter, she'd seen the truth beneath the hard exterior. Adrian Marcello wasn't just a dangerous man. He was a broken one. And for reasons she didn't want to examine, that made her want to help him heal. She checked on Noah one more time. He was sound asleep in the new bed, his breathing even. Malia climbed into the other bedroom and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow she'd figure out how to get her life back. Tomorrow she'd create distance, tomorrow. But tonight all she could think about was the way Adrian had looked at Noah with such tender sadness, and the way her hand had felt on his arm, and the way she hadn't wanted to let go. Morning came too fast. Malia woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a second she forgot where she was. Then it all came back. The safe apartment, Adrian's protection, the danger that had followed her home. She got up and found Noah already in the kitchen, standing in front of the open refrigerator. There's so much food, he said, awed. Malia looked over his shoulder. He was right. The fridge was fully stocked. Fresh fruit, milk, eggs, bread, everything they'd need. Make yourself breakfast, she said. But don't get used to this. Why not? Because it's temporary. But even as she said it, doubt crept in. How temporary? Days? Weeks? A knock came at the door. Malia checked the peephole. Adrian stood in the hallway holding 2 coffee cups. She opened the door. Good morning, he said. I brought coffee. Wasn't sure how you take it, so I got 1 black and 1 with cream. Cream, she said quietly, taking the cup. Thank you. He handed the other one to her anyway. Keep both. I already had mine. Adrian stepped inside and immediately spotted Noah in the kitchen. Morning, Noah. Morning. Noah held up a box of cereal. We have Fruit Loops. Adrian smiled. Those were my favorite when I was your age. Really? Really? They talked about cereal while Malia sipped her coffee and tried to figure out what came next. Finally, Adrian turned to her. Can we talk? Privately. Malia nodded. They stepped into the other bedroom. Adrian closed the door gently. I have news. Some good, some less good. Tell me. The car outside your apartment last night was registered to a shell company. We are still tracking who owns it, but it's connected to someone in Elena's network. Ice shot through her. The woman who left you? Yes. Her family is making moves. His jaw tightened. They want to weaken my position, threaten anyone they think I care about. But you don't care about me. We barely know each other. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. They don't know that. So what happens now? I need you to stay here, just for a little while longer, until we can neutralize the threat or at least identify who's giving the orders. Malia's chest tightened. I can't hide forever. I know, and I'm not asking you to. He stepped closer. But I need you safe, you and Noah, just until this settles. She wanted to argue. wanted to fight, but the fear was real, and Noah's safety mattered more than her pride. "Okay," she whispered. "A few more days, but that's it." Adrian's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Thank you." "Don't thank me, just fix this. Whatever needs to be fixed, I will." His eyes held hers. "I promise." He left a few minutes later, and Malia stood at the window watching his car disappear. Behind her, Noah asked quietly, "Do you like him?" Her heart jumped. "What? Adrian, do you like him?" Malia turned. Noah stood in the doorway with the box of Fruit Loops, studying her with those two old eyes. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I think you do." Noah poured cereal into a bowl. "And I think he likes you too." "Noah, it's okay, Malia. I like him. He's nice to us. And he seems really sad, like he needs people to care about him." Malia's throat tightened. "Baby, it's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because Adrian lived in a dangerous world. Because caring about him put them at risk. Because letting someone in meant giving them the power to hurt you. Because she'd already lost so much, and she couldn't survive losing anything else." But looking at Noah's hopeful face, she couldn't say any of that. "It just isn't," she said softly. Noah nodded like he understood, but the look in his eyes said he saw right through her. The days blurred together in the safe apartment. Malia called her cleaning clients and explained she had a family emergency. Most were understanding. A few weren't. She lost 2 jobs. Noah's school was harder to explain. She told them he was sick, that he'd be back soon. They asked for a doctor's note. She said she'd get one. Another lie in a growing pile of them. Adrian came by every morning with coffee. Sometimes he stayed for breakfast. Sometimes he just dropped off groceries and left. He never pushed, never asked for more than she offered. But his presence became part of their routine, expected, almost comfortable. On the 4th morning, Malia woke early and padded into the kitchen. She stopped in the doorway. Adrian stood at the counter making coffee. Noah sat at the table in his pajamas, watching. "You're here early," Malia said. Adrian turned. "Sorry, I couldn't sleep. Thought I'd come by and—" He gestured at the coffee pot. "I can leave if—" "No, stay." The word came out before she could stop it. Adrian's expression softened. "Okay." Noah yawned. "Can I have coffee?" "No," Malia said automatically. "Hot chocolate?" Adrian asked. "I could make hot chocolate." Noah's face lit up. "Really?" "Sure. You want to help?" Noah jumped up and joined Adrian at the counter. Adrian pulled out milk, cocoa powder, and sugar. He showed Noah how to heat the milk slowly, how to whisk in the powder without making lumps. Malia sat at the table and watched them. Adrian was patient, gentle. He let Noah do the work himself, but guided him when needed. "Now the trick," Adrian said, "is to froth the milk. See this little electric frother? Watch." He demonstrated, creating a layer of foam on top. Noah tried it next. The foam came out lumpy and uneven, but Adrian praised him anyway. "Perfect. That's exactly how mine looked when I first learned." "Who taught you?" Noah asked. "My daughter." The words hung in the air. Malia's breath caught. This was the first time Adrian had mentioned Sophia to Noah. Noah looked up at him. "You have a daughter?" "I did." Adrian's voice was soft. "She passed away a few years ago." "Like our parents?" "Yes, like your parents." Noah was quiet for a moment. Then, "What was her name?" "Sophia." "That's a pretty name." "She was a pretty girl." Adrian smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "She loved hot chocolate. Used to make it every Sunday morning. She'd get chocolate powder everywhere, on the counter, on her face, on the dog." "You had a dog?" "A golden retriever named Bear. He was huge and clumsy, and Sophia adored him." Adrian's hands stilled on the counter. "After she died, I couldn't keep him. Every time I looked at Bear, all I saw was her. So I gave him to her mother's sister. He's happy there." Tears pricked Malia's eyes. Noah reached over and patted Adrian's hand. The gesture was so simple, so pure, that Malia's heart cracked open. "I'm sorry you lost her," Noah said. Adrian looked down at the small hand on his own. His throat worked. "Thank you." They finished making the hot chocolate in silence. When Noah took his first sip, he grinned. "This is really good." Adrian's smile was real this time. "Sophia would have liked you." "Really? Really? You're quiet and thoughtful." She was like that too. He glanced at Malia. "And you take care of your sister?" "Sophia always took care of people. She'd find hurt birds and try to nurse them back to health. She'd share her lunch with kids who forgot theirs." "She sounds nice," Noah said. "She was the best person I ever knew." Adrian's voice cracked slightly. "Better than me." Malia stood up and moved to the counter. Without thinking, she placed her hand on Adrian's arm. He looked at her. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Understanding, shared grief, connection. "You're a good person too," Malia said quietly. "Sophia would be proud of the man you are." Adrian's breath hitched. "You don't know what I've done. I know what you're doing right now. Taking care of us. Protecting us. Being kind to a 13-year-old boy who lost his parents." She squeezed his arm gently. "That matters." Adrian closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were wet. Noah, sensing the adult moment, took his hot chocolate and went to the living room. Malia and Adrian stood in the kitchen, her hand still on his arm, the morning light streaming through the windows. "I haven't talked about her in a long time," Adrian said. "Not like that, not about the real things." "Why not?" "Because it hurts. And in my world, you can't show that you're hurting. It makes you weak. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Adrian laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. "You're probably right." "I am right." Malia pulled her hand back, suddenly aware of how close they were standing. "Everyone needs to talk about the people they've lost. It's how we keep them alive." "Is that what you do? With your parents?" "Noah and I talk about them sometimes. About the good stuff, the funny stuff." She leaned against the counter. "It helps. Not all the time, but enough." Adrian nodded slowly. "What were they like?" "Loud, loving. My dad told terrible jokes. My mom sang off-key but didn't care." Malia smiled at the memory. "They worked hard. 2 jobs each. They wanted Noah and me to have more than they did. I'm sure they'd be proud of you." "I hope so." She looked toward the living room where Noah sat watching cartoons. "I'm doing my best, but it's hard. I'm only 24. I don't know what I'm doing half the time." "You're doing better than you think," says the man who's had to rescue us multiple times. "That's not your fault." "Maybe not, but it's my reality now." She met his eyes. "Because of you." The words came out harsher than she meant, but they were true. Adrian's expression shuttered. "I know. I'm sorry." "I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to fix it." "I'm trying." "Are you?" Malia crossed her arms. "Or are we just going to hide here forever while you play some kind of dangerous game with your ex-fiancé's family?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "It's more complicated than—" "Everything with you is complicated." Her voice rose. "I had a simple life, hard but simple, and now I'm hiding in a safe apartment with guards outside and threats I don't understand and—" She stopped. Noah had turned around on the couch, looking worried. Malia took a breath, lowered her voice. "I just want my life back." "I know," Adrian said quietly, "and I'm working on it, I promise." "When?" "Soon." It wasn't enough, but it was all she had. That afternoon, while Noah napped, Malia stood at the window staring at the street below. Her phone buzzed. A text from Adrian. "Are you okay?" She typed back, "Fine. You didn't seem fine this morning. I'm just frustrated." "I understand. I'm sorry." She stared at the phone, then typed, "Stop apologizing. Just fix it." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Finally, I will, I promise." Malia set down her phone and rubbed her eyes. She was tired. So tired of being scared, of being careful, of living in someone else's space, dependent on someone else's protection. But underneath the frustration was something else, something she didn't want to name. Because this morning, when Adrian had talked about Sophia, she'd seen past the dangerous exterior to the wounded man beneath, and that man made her heart ache in ways that had nothing to do with fear. The next morning, Adrian didn't come by. Malia told herself she wasn't disappointed, but she kept glancing at the door, listening for his knock. Around 10, Rafe showed up instead. "Where's Adrian?" Malia asked. "Dealing with some business." Rafe's expression was grim. "He asked me to check on you." "We're fine." "Good." Rafe handed her an envelope. "This came to Adrian's office this morning. He wanted you to see it." Malia opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a photograph, her and Noah, walking down the street near their old apartment. The photo was recent, maybe 3 days ago, before they'd moved to the safe house. Someone had drawn a red circle around them. On the back, written in neat handwriting, "Such a pretty family. Would be a shame if something happened to them." Ice flooded her veins. "Who sent this?" she whispered. "We're still tracing it, but the handwriting matches samples we have from Elena Russo, the woman who'd left Adrian at the altar." "Why?" Malia's voice shook. "Why would she threaten us?" "Because she wants to hurt Adrian, and she knows—" Rafe paused. "She knows he cares about you. But he doesn't. We're not. Doesn't matter what's true. Matters what she believes." Rafe's eyes were serious. "And she believes you're important to him." Malia sank onto the couch. "This is insane." "I know. What does Adrian want us to do? He's arranging something more secure, a place outside the city, his private estate. It has full security, guards, the works. Rafe sat across from her. He wants to move you and Noah there today. No. The word came out automatically. Absolutely not. Miss Malia, we can't keep running. We can't keep hiding. She stood up, pacing. This is my life, Noah's life. We have school jobs, friends. We can't just disappear. You can for a little while until this is resolved. And when will that be? A week? A month? A year? Rafe didn't answer. Malia stopped pacing, looked at him. Tell me the truth. How dangerous is this? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, Elena Russo is unpredictable. She's angry, and she has resources. If she decides you're a worthwhile target, he let the sentence hang. She'll come after us. Yes. Malia's legs felt weak. She sat back down. Where's Noah? In his room, playing a game. Don't tell him about this. Not yet. Understood. They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Malia asked, This estate, it's really secure. The most secure property Adrian owns. 20-foot walls, guards at every entrance, cameras everywhere, and it's remote. Anyone approaching would be spotted long before they got close. It sounded like a prison, but it also sounded safe. How long, she asked. Adrian thinks 2 weeks, maybe 3. His people are working on a solution. But until then, we hide. Rafe nodded. Malia closed her eyes. Okay, we'll go. But I want to talk to Adrian first. He's on his way. Should be here within the hour. Adrian arrived exactly 53 minutes later. He looked exhausted. His tie was loose. His hair was messy like he'd been running his hands through it. I'm sorry, he said as soon as he walked in. I'm so sorry this is happening. Stop apologizing, Malia said. Just tell me the truth, all of it. Adrian glanced at Noah, who was watching from the hallway. Noah, go to your room for a few minutes, Malia said gently. But now, please. He left reluctantly, closing the door behind him. Malia turned to Adrian. Talk. He sat down heavily. Elena's family is making a power play. The failed wedding was part of it. They wanted to humiliate me publicly, weaken my position, make other families question my strength. Why? Because they want to take over territory I control, business I handle. If they can make me look weak, other families might side with them. And we're caught in the middle. Yes. Adrian's voice was rough. Elena knows She knows I've been protecting you. She sees you as leverage. Leverage for what? To force me into a position where I either back down or make mistakes. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. In my world, showing that you care about someone is dangerous. It gives your enemies a target. So what are you saying? That you shouldn't care about us? I'm saying I can't stop caring about you. The words came out raw, honest. I tried. I told myself you were just someone I was protecting. But Noah, the way he looks at me like Sophia used to. And you, he met her eyes. You see me. Not the power, not the reputation. Just me. Malia's breath caught. I can't let anything happen to you, Adrian continued. Or to Noah. I can't lose anyone else. I can't. His voice cracked. So please, come to the estate. Let me keep you safe, just until this is over. She should say no, should draw the line. But the desperation in his eyes broke her resolve. Okay, she whispered. Adrian's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. But Adrian, she leaned forward. After this is over, after we're safe, we need to talk about what this is, about what you want from us. I just want you safe. That's not an answer. He held her gaze. I know. They left that evening. 3 cars. Adrian driving the middle one with Malia and Noah. Rafe leading. Another guard following. They drove for nearly an hour, leaving the city behind. The buildings gave way to suburbs, then to trees and open land. Finally, they turned onto a private road. High stone walls appeared on either side. A heavy gate slid open as they approached. The estate sat at the end of a long driveway. It was beautiful. Old stone and modern glass combined into something that looked both fortress and home. Guards stood at the entrance. More patrolled the grounds. It looks like a castle, Noah breathed. Kind of, Adrian agreed, but more comfortable. He parked near the front entrance. A man in a suit opened Malia's door. Welcome, miss, he said politely. Malia climbed out, feeling overwhelmed. This wasn't just wealth. This was power. Real, substantial power. Adrian came around the car. I'll show you to your rooms. He led them inside. The entrance hall had high ceilings and art on the walls. Everything was clean and expensive and intimidating. The guest wing is this way, Adrian said. He took them down a hallway to the right. At the end was a suite of rooms, 2 bedrooms connected by a shared sitting area and bathroom. You'll have privacy here, Adrian said. My rooms are in the other wing. You won't even know I'm around unless you want to. Noah immediately ran to explore. Malia stood in the doorway, overwhelmed. This is too much, she said. It's what I have. Adrian's voice was gentle. And I want you to have it, for as long as you need. She looked at him, really looked, at the exhaustion in his face, the worry in his eyes, the way he held himself like he was carrying the weight of the world. Thank you, she said quietly. Don't thank me yet. You might hate it here. I doubt that. Something flickered in his expression. Hope, maybe, or longing. He cleared his throat. I'll let you get settled. If you need anything, there's a phone in the sitting room. Press 1 and it'll connect to the house manager. Press 2 for me. Okay. He started to leave, then turned back. Malia? Yeah? I'm glad you're here. Both of you. His voice was soft. This place has been empty for a long time. It's good to have people in it again. Before she could respond, he left. Malia stood there, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. This was dangerous. Not just the threats from Elena, but this. The way Adrian looked at her. The way she felt when he was near. The way she was starting to want things she had no right to want. Noah came running back. Malia, my room has a TV and a window seat and... He stopped. Are you okay? She forced a smile. I'm fine, baby, just tired. Do you like it here? It's nice. Do you like Adrian? The question hit her like a physical blow. Noah, it's okay if you do. I like him too. Noah's expression was serious. He's lonely, like us. Maybe we could all be less lonely together. Tears stung her eyes. It's not that simple. Why not? Because Adrian lived in a world of danger. Because caring about him put them at risk. Because she'd already lost so much and couldn't survive losing more. But looking at Noah's hopeful face, she couldn't say any of that. Let's just take it one day at a time, she said softly. Okay? Noah nodded, but she could see he'd already made up his mind. He wanted Adrian in their lives, and God help her, so did she. That night, Malia couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft. The room was too quiet. Everything felt wrong. Around midnight, she gave up and went to explore. The house was huge. She wandered through hallways lined with paintings, past rooms filled with expensive furniture, through a library that had more books than she'd seen in her entire life. Finally, she found the kitchen. Adrian sat at the island with a glass of whiskey. He looked up when she entered. Can't sleep either? No. She moved to the counter. Can I have some of that? He poured her a glass without comment. They drank in silence. This is a beautiful place, Malia finally said. It was my father's, before he died. When was that? 5 years ago. Heart attack. Adrian swirled his whiskey. He built this place as a fortress, somewhere the family could be safe, but it ended up feeling more like a prison. Why? Because safety came at the cost of freedom. We couldn't leave without guards, couldn't have friends over without vetting them, couldn't trust anyone. He took a drink. That's the price of power. Isolation. Is that why you're here alone? Mostly. I have staff during the day, but at night. He gestured at the empty kitchen. Just me and my ghosts. Malia's heart ached. That sounds awful. It is. He looked at her. But having you and Noah here, it's different. Better. We'll be gone soon. I know. His voice was soft. But for now it's nice not to be alone. They sat in comfortable silence. The whiskey warmed her chest. Can I ask you something? Adrian said. Sure. When this is over, when you're safe and can go back to your life, do you think you'll want to see me again? The question hung in the air. Malia's heart raced. I don't know. That's fair. It's not that I don't... She struggled for words. You're not what I expected. When I first saw you in that church, I thought you were just some rich guy with problems I couldn't understand. But now I see you. The real you. And that person, she met his eyes. That person is someone I could care about. A lot. Adrian's breath hitched. But your world scares me. The danger, the threats, the constant looking over your shoulder. She set down her glass. I've spent 2 years trying to build something stable for Noah, something safe, and getting involved with you means giving that up. I understand. Do you? Yes. Adrian stood and moved closer. I wouldn't ask you to give up your safety, or Noah's. You've both been through enough. He stopped a few feet away. But I need you to know, you've given me something I thought I'd lost forever. What's that? Hope. His voice cracked slightly. Hope that maybe I could have a life that's more than just survival. more than power games and territorial disputes. Maybe I could have... He stopped, swallowed hard. Maybe I could have a family again. Tears filled Malia's eyes. I'm not asking for promises, Adrian continued. I'm just asking, when this is over, can we see where this goes? Without the danger, without the threats. Just you, me and Noah, like normal people. Everything in her wanted to say yes, but fear was louder. I need to think about it, she whispered. Adrian nodded. That's fair. He started to move past her, back to his lonely corner of the house. Malia's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. He stopped. She didn't know what made her do it, but she pulled him back toward her. They stood inches apart, his breath warm on her face, her heart pounding. Ask me again, she whispered. When this is over, when we're safe, ask me again. Adrian's eyes searched hers. And what will you say? I don't know yet, but ask me anyway. His hand came up slowly and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, reverent. Okay, he breathed. I will. They stood there for a long moment, caught in something bigger than either of them understood. Then Malia stepped back. Good night, Adrian. Good night, Malia. She walked away on shaking legs, feeling his eyes on her back. When she got to her room, she leaned against the door and let out a shaky breath. What was she doing? Falling for a dangerous man. That's what she was doing. And despite every logical reason not to, she couldn't seem to stop. The days at the estate fell into a rhythm. Mornings meant breakfast together. Adrian would appear in the kitchen, sometimes already cooking. Noah would help. Malia would watch them and try not to think about how right it felt. Afternoons were quieter. Noah did schoolwork that Adrian had arranged to be sent over. Malia read books from the library. Sometimes she'd find Adrian working in his office and they'd talk. Nothing deep, just talking. Evenings were the hardest, because that's when they'd all sit together, watching movies, playing board games Noah found in a closet, eating dinner around the large dining table that felt less empty with 3 people at it. It felt like a family, and that terrified Malia more than any threat from Elena Russo, because this wasn't real. It was temporary, a pause in their actual lives while Adrian dealt with dangerous people, but her heart didn't seem to understand that. On the 6th day, Malia woke to the smell of pancakes. She found Adrian and Noah in the kitchen, flour everywhere. Noah was laughing, really laughing at something Adrian had said. What's going on? She asked. We're making breakfast, Noah announced. Adrian's teaching me to flip pancakes. It's harder than it looks, Adrian added, gesturing at a pancake that had landed half on the floor. Malia couldn't help but smile. I can see that. Adrian's eyes met hers across the kitchen. Something warm passed between them. Coffee's ready, he said softly. She poured herself a cup and sat at the island watching them work. Noah attempted to flip a pancake, and it went sideways. Adrian caught it on the spatula before it hit the ground. Nice save, Noah said. I've had practice. Sophia and I used to have pancake flipping contests on Sunday mornings. Adrian's voice was nostalgic but not painful. She always won. Did she cheat? Noah asked. Absolutely. She'd distract me right before the flip. Sometimes she'd tickle me. Noah grinned. That's smart. It was devious, but it made me laugh, so I let her get away with it. They finished cooking and sat down together. The pancakes were slightly burnt and misshapen, but they tasted perfect. These are really good, Malia said. Noah did most of the work, Adrian replied. Noah beamed with pride. After breakfast, Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed. I need to take this. He stepped out of the room. Malia and Noah cleaned up the kitchen. Through the window, she could see Adrian pacing on the terrace, phone pressed to his ear. His body language was tense. When he came back inside, his face was grim. What's wrong? Malia asked. Adrian looked at Noah. Hey, buddy, can you give us a minute? Noah's smile faded. Is something bad happening? No. I just need to talk to your sister. Adult stuff. Noah left reluctantly. Adrian waited until he was gone. That was Rafe. Elena's made contact. She wants to meet. That's good, right? You can talk. End this. Maybe. Adrian's jaw was tight. Or maybe it's a trap. Fear crawled up Malia's spine. What are you going to do? I have to meet her. She says she'll back off if I agree to certain terms. What terms? I don't know yet. That's what the meeting is for. He moved closer. But I want you to know, whatever she asks, I'm not agreeing to anything that puts you or Noah at risk. Adrian, I mean it. You're more important than territory or business or pride. His eyes were fierce. You and Noah are more important than any of it. Her breath caught. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes this harder. Makes what harder? Keeping distance, protecting my heart. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I'm already half in love with you, and I shouldn't be because this is temporary and dangerous, and Adrian kissed her. It was gentle, tentative. His hand cupped her face like she was something precious. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright. It doesn't have to be temporary. Adrian, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated, but I haven't felt this way since. He stopped. Since before I lost everything. You make me want to be better, to build something real instead of just protecting what I have. Tears filled her eyes. I'm scared. So am I. His thumb brushed her cheek. But I'm more scared of losing you without ever telling you how I feel. What if this doesn't work? What if your world is too dangerous? Then we'll figure it out. Together. He rested his forehead against hers. But please, give us a chance. Malia closed her eyes. Every logical part of her brain screamed to say no, but her heart had already decided. Okay, she whispered. After this is over, after we're safe, we'll try. Adrian's smile was like sunlight breaking through clouds. Yeah? Yeah. He kissed her again, deeper this time. Malia's hands found his shirt and held on. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian said, I need to go. The meeting's in 2 hours. Be careful, always. He started to leave, then turned back. Malia, thank you for giving me something to come back to. Then he was gone. The afternoon dragged. Malia tried to read, tried to help Noah with homework, tried to distract herself, but all she could think about was Adrian at some meeting with the woman who'd left him at the altar, the woman who'd threatened them. Around 4, the house alarm system beeped. Malia's head snapped up. That wasn't normal. A guard rushed past the window outside. Then another. Her phone rang. Rafe. Get Noah and get to the safe room now. What's happening? We've got movement at the north wall, multiple vehicles. This could be nothing but... Gunfire erupted outside. Not close, but close enough to make Malia's blood run cold. Go, Rafe shouted. East hallway, 3rd door on the left. Code is 5827. Get inside and lock it. The line went dead. Malia ran to Noah's room. He was already standing, eyes wide with fear. Come on, she said, grabbing his hand. They ran down the east hallway. Found the door. Malia punched in the code with shaking fingers. The door opened to reveal a small room with reinforced walls. Security monitors lined one wall, supplies stacked against another. They stepped inside. The door sealed behind them with a heavy thunk. More gunfire. Closer now. Noah grabbed her hand tight. What's happening? I don't know, baby, but we're safe here, okay? We're safe. She pulled him close and watched the monitors. They showed different angles of the estate grounds. On one screen, she saw guards taking defensive positions. On another, black SUVs breaking through the gate. Her heart hammered. Where was Adrian? As if answering her thought, one of the monitors showed him. He ran toward the house with Rafe and 2 other men. Even from the grainy footage, she could see the determination in his face. He was coming for them. The door to the safe room shook. Someone was trying to open it. Malia? Noah? Adrian's voice came through, muffled but clear. She pressed the release button. The door opened. Adrian burst in, checking them over with frantic eyes. Are you hurt? No, we're fine. Thank God. He looked at Rafe. Status? 6 hostiles. Heavily armed. They breached the north wall, but we've contained them. Police are en route. Elena? Not here. She sent people to do her dirty work. Rafe's expression was dark. But we got one of them talking. She wanted to send a message. Adrian's jaw clenched. She sent them. On the monitors, Malia watched the guards systematically taking control. The attack was ending, but the damage was done. Elena had brought violence to this place, to the one spot where they were supposed to be safe. I need to go deal with this, Adrian said. He looked at Malia. Stay here, don't come out until I come back for you. Adrian, please. His eyes were desperate. I need to know you're safe. She nodded. He squeezed her shoulder once, then left with Rafe. Malia and Noah sat in the safe room and watched the monitors as Adrian and his men dealt with the threat. It wasn't pretty. It was efficient and cold and brutal. This was Adrian's world, the real one. And Malia realized something as she watched. She wasn't scared of him. She was scared for him. An hour later, the door opened again. Adrian stood there, his shirt torn, blood on his hands. Not his blood. She could tell by the way he moved. It's over, he said. His voice was flat, empty. Malia stood and moved to him. Are you hurt? No. Let me see. She checked him anyway. Found a cut on his arm, a bruise forming on his ribs. Nothing serious, but his eyes were haunted. Noah, stay here for a minute, Malia said. She took Adrian's hand and led him out of the safe room, down the hall to a bathroom, sat him on the edge of the tub. Let me clean you up, she said softly. Adrian didn't respond, just sat there staring at nothing. Malia wet a cloth and carefully wiped the blood from his hands. Then she cleaned the cut on his arm and bandaged it. Adrian? She touched his face. Look at me. He did, and what she saw in his eyes made her heart break. I thought I was going to lose you, he whispered. When those men came, all I could think was that I'd brought this to your door, that you were going to die because of me, like Sophia. But we didn't. We're safe. This time. But what about next time? What about... Malia kissed him. She poured everything into it, all her fear and relief and the feelings she'd been trying to deny. When she pulled back, Adrian's eyes were wet. I can't do this, he said. I can't put you in danger. I should send you away, somewhere safe where... No, her voice was firm. You don't get to decide that for me. Malia, I choose you. The words came out strong, clear. I choose you and this life, and whatever comes with it. Because I'd rather be with you in danger than safe without you. Adrian's breath shuddered. You don't know what you're saying. Yes, I do. She took his hands. I've lived safe. I've played it careful. And I was surviving, but I wasn't living. But with you, you make me want to be brave, to take chances. She smiled through her tears. You make me feel alive. I don't deserve you. That's not your choice to make, it's mine. And I choose you. Adrian pulled her close and buried his face in her shoulder. His body shook with silent sobs. Malia held him. Let him break. Let him be vulnerable. Because that's what love was. Holding someone when they fell apart. Later that night, after the police left and the estate was secured, Malia found Noah asleep in his room. Adrian stood in the doorway watching him. He's resilient, Adrian said quietly. He's had to be. They stood in comfortable silence. I've been thinking, Adrian said, about what you said, about choosing this life. And I want to do this right. No more hiding, no more temporary solutions. He turned to her. I want you and Noah in my life, permanently, if you'll have me. Malia's heart raced. What are you saying? I'm saying I want a future with you, a real one. He took her hand. I've already started arranging things. Legal protection for Noah, financial security for both of you, so that even if something happens to me, you're taken care of. Adrian, let me finish. His eyes were serious. I know I'm asking a lot. My world is dangerous, complicated, but I promise you this. I will spend every day trying to build something better. For us, for Noah, for any family we might have. Tears streamed down her face. You really mean that? More than anything. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Malia gasped. This was my mother's, Adrian said, opening it. Inside sat a simple gold ring with a small diamond. It's not much. Not compared to what I could buy, but it meant something to her. To me. Adrian, I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I know we need time, need to figure things out. He took the ring out. But I'm asking you to say yes. To say you'll build a life with me. Take all the time you need. But when you're ready, say yes. Malia looked at the ring, at Adrian's hopeful face, at Noah sleeping peacefully in the next room. She thought about her parents, about the love they'd shared, about how they'd always told her that real love was choosing someone every day, not just once. Yes, she whispered. Adrian's eyes widened. Yes? Yes? She laughed through her tears. Not tomorrow, not next week, but yes, eventually. When we've built something real, yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Then he kissed her like she was air and he'd been drowning. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Noah's sleepy voice came from behind them. Does this mean Adrian's staying? They turned. Noah sat up in bed, rubbing his eyes. Yeah, baby, Malia said. He's staying. Noah smiled. Good. I like him. I like him too. I like both of you, Adrian added, his voice thick with emotion. Noah got out of bed and walked over. Without hesitation, he hugged Adrian. Adrian froze for a second, then wrapped his arms around the boy and held on tight. Malia watched them and knew. This was her family now, broken pieces that fit together, healing each other, building something new from the ashes of what they'd lost. Over the next few days, Adrian kept his promise. He worked with lawyers to establish legal guardianship protections for Noah, set up trust funds, made sure that if anything happened, Malia and Noah would be secure. But more than that, he worked on ending the threat. Elena Russo had overplayed her hand. The attack on the estate had been her mistake. It united other families against her, made her look reckless and dangerous. Within a week, she was forced to back down, to sign agreements that she'd leave Adrian's territory alone, to accept that she'd lost. Malia didn't ask for details. She didn't need them. All she needed to know was that they were safe. 2 weeks after the attack, Adrian took them home, not to the safe apartment, not to their old place, home to the estate. "Is this okay?" he asked as they stood in the entrance hall. "Living here? I know it's big and kind of intimidating, but it's perfect," Malia said. Because it was. It was safe and beautiful and big enough for all of them, big enough for a family. 3 months passed. Autumn turned to winter. The estate transformed with the seasons. Noah started at a new school closer to the house. He made friends, joined the chess club, started smiling more. Malia found work she actually enjoyed, helping manage some of Adrian's legitimate businesses. It turned out she had a knack for organization and problem-solving, and Adrian softened. The hard edges that came from years of survival slowly smoothed. He laughed more, worried less, let himself be happy. One evening in December, they sat together by the fireplace. Noah was upstairs doing homework. Snow fell outside the windows. "Can I ask you something?" Adrian said. "Always. Are you happy?" Malia looked at him, at this man who'd been left at an altar and somehow found love in the wreckage. "Yes," she said simply. "I'm happy." "Good." He pulled her closer. "Because I want to do something." "What?" "Marry you." Her heart skipped. "Adrian, I know I said take your time, and I meant it, but it's been 3 months and I wake up every day more certain than the day before." He turned to face her fully. "You're it for me, Malia. You and Noah. This life we're building. I don't want to wait anymore." "When?" "Whenever you're ready. Tomorrow, next year, I don't care. As long as the answer is eventually." Malia thought about it, about how far they'd come, about the life they were building, about how every day with Adrian felt like coming home. "Soon," she said. "Let's do it soon." His smile was brilliant. "Yeah?" "Yeah." They kissed by the fireplace while snow fell outside and their future stretched ahead of them, full of possibility. They chose a date in early March. Not a big wedding, just the opposite. Small, private, intimate. The same church where they'd met. St. Catherine's with its stained glass windows and quiet beauty. No guests, no spectacle, just them. Malia wore a simple cream dress. Noah wore a suit and carried a small bouquet of flowers. Adrian waited at the altar in the same spot where he'd been left months before. But this time, everything was different. This time, the woman walking down the aisle was coming to him, choosing him, loving him. Malia took his hand at the altar and looked into his eyes. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi," he whispered back. The priest performed a short ceremony, simple vows, simple rings, but the emotion was anything but simple. When Adrian said, "I do," his voice cracked. When Malia said it back, tears streamed down her face. And when the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Adrian cupped her face gently and kissed her like she was the most precious thing in the world, because to him, she was. Noah stood beside them grinning. After the ceremony, they stood together in the empty church, the 3 of them, a family built from loss, from grief, from 2 broken people who'd found each other in the darkest moment. "What now?" Malia asked. Adrian looked at her, at Noah, at the life stretching ahead of them. "Now we go home," he said softly. And they did. Not to the estate, not yet. First, they stopped at a small cafe and had lunch, laughed, talked, celebrated. Then they drove through the city, taking the long way, enjoying each other's company. Noah fell asleep in the back seat. Malia held Adrian's hand. The afternoon sun warmed the car. "Are you happy?" she asked. Adrian glanced at her. "More than I thought possible." "Good. Are you?" "Yeah." She squeezed his hand. "I really am." They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Adrian said, "You know what Sophia used to say?" "What?" "That home isn't a place. It's people." His voice was soft. "I didn't understand it then, but I do now." Malia's throat tightened. "She sounds like she was smart." "She was." Adrian smiled. "She would have loved you. And Noah. I wish I could have met her." "Me too." He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it. "But I think she'd be happy that I found you, that I found home again." Tears blurred Malia's vision. "I love you. I love you too." They pulled into the estate as the sun began to set. Golden light painted everything beautiful. Noah woke up as they parked. "Are we home?" Malia looked at Adrian. He looked back at her with eyes full of love. "Yeah, baby," she said. "We're home." They walked into the house together, a family, imperfect and patched together, but real. Later that night, after Noah went to bed, Malia and Adrian stood on the terrace looking at the stars. "Thank you," Adrian said. "For what?" "For sitting with me that day, in the church, when everyone else left." He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You saved me. You saved me too." They stood there in the quiet, holding each other. Two people who'd been left behind by life, who'd lost people they loved, who'd carried grief and pain and fear, but who'd found each other, and in finding each other, they'd found something more powerful than pain. They'd found hope, they'd found healing, they'd found home. The stars shone overhead. The winter wind whispered through the trees. Inside, Noah slept peacefully in a room that was finally, truly his, and on Malia's finger, Adrian's mother's ring caught the moonlight, a symbol of promise, of love, of choosing each other every day. Not because it was easy, but because it was worth it, because they were worth it, together, 1 year later. The estate garden was in full bloom. Spring had transformed the grounds into something magical. Malia stood at the kitchen window, watching Adrian and Noah play soccer on the lawn. Noah was getting taller, growing into himself. The shadows that had haunted his eyes were mostly gone now. Adrian let Noah score a goal and threw his hands up in mock defeat. Noah laughed, that free, genuine laugh that meant everything was okay. The doorbell rang. Malia wiped her hands on a towel and went to answer it. She wasn't expecting anyone. A woman stood on the doorstep, late 50s, kind eyes, nervous smile. "Can I help you?" Malia asked. "I'm looking for Adrian Marcello. I'm sorry to just show up, but..." The woman's voice shook. "I'm Maria, his aunt, his mother's sister." Malia's eyes widened. "Please, come in." She led Maria to the living room and called for Adrian. When he came inside and saw his aunt, he froze. "Tia Maria." "Adrian." She stood, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I stayed away so long. After Sophia died, I didn't know how to..." Adrian crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. They stood there for a long moment, crying, healing. When they finally pulled apart, Maria said, "I brought someone to see you." She stepped to the door and opened it. A golden retriever bounded inside. Bear, Sophia's dog. Adrian dropped to his knees. Bear ran to him and jumped up, licking his face, tail wagging frantically. "I can't take care of him anymore," Maria said. "My health isn't good, and I thought maybe he could come home. To you." Adrian buried his face in Bear's fur and sobbed. Noah came running inside to see what was happening. When he saw the dog, his eyes lit up. "Is that Bear?" he asked. Adrian nodded, unable to speak. Noah sat down next to them and let Bear lick his face too. Malia watched from the doorway, tears streaming down her cheeks. This was healing, not forgetting, not moving on, but letting joy back in, letting love fill the spaces where grief had lived. That evening, after Maria left with promises to visit often, they sat together on the couch. Bear lay across all their laps, content and home. "Are you okay?" Malia asked Adrian. He nodded. "Better than okay. It's like..." He paused. "It's like Sophia gave me one last gift, reminding me that it's okay to be happy again. She'd want that. I know." He kissed Malia's temple. "And I am. Happy. With you and Noah. And now Bear." He smiled. "Our weird little family." "I prefer wonderfully imperfect family," Malia said. "That works too." Noah had fallen asleep with his head on Adrian's shoulder. Bear snored softly. The house was quiet and warm and full. "I love you," Malia whispered. "I love you too," Adrian whispered back. Outside, the sun set over the estate, the same estate that had once felt like a prison, but now it was filled with laughter, with hope, with second chances, with family. And as darkness fell and stars appeared, Adrian Marcello, the man who'd been left at an altar, who'd lost everything, who'd thought he'd never feel whole again, closed his eyes and smiled, because he was home, really, truly home, and he was never letting go.